The CEO pretended to be an ordinary worker and came to work at his own factory. But as soon as he arrived at the cafeteria, he was shocked to discover that all the meals here were vegetarian. The man didn't think much of it and asked the head chef for a chicken drumstick. The head chef not only said there wasn't any, but also scolded the man harshly. Seeing how rude the chef was, the man wanted to teach him a lesson. Unexpectedly, a co-worker nearby stopped him, then took the man to a table to eat. While chatting, the man learned from the co-worker that they hadn't had meat dishes in a long time. Just as the man was feeling puzzled, a rich young man walked over and sat directly next to the man. Seeing this, the chef immediately brought over a luxurious lunch. The man, seeing this, immediately asked what was going on. Unexpectedly, the rich kid said that low-level workers like them didn't deserve to eat meat. The man wanted to argue with him after hearing that, but the co-worker stopped him again. He explained that only the management got to eat meat at this factory. Regular workers were lucky just to get a meal. The man was furious after hearing this. He slammed the table and stood up. He declared that the corporation had long since allocated special funds to improve employee meals. So why was it that only the leaders got to eat meat? Who made that rule? The rich kid responded confidently, saying he made the rule himself. After all, the higher-ups couldn't control what happened here. Here, he was the boss. It turned out the rich kid was the factory director's son. He used his status to bully the workers and to punish the man. He told him to kneel and apologize. If he did, the kid would reward him with a drumstick. But unexpectedly, the man didn't give in. The rich kid, feeling embarrassed, took out his anger on the other workers as a way to intimidate the man. He declared that anyone who called him dad would get to eat a drumstick. When no one responded, he had to start calling people by name. The ones he called had no choice but to obey, since they couldn't afford to lose their jobs and their income. Facing his threats, the workers had no choice but to submit. Satisfied, the rich kid gave them the drumstick. Then he turned to scold the man. He threw a piece of meat on the ground and told the man to pick it up and eat it clean, or he'd fire him. Hearing that, the man could no longer contain his anger. Right in front of everyone, he gave the rich kid a good beating. All the employees on site were stunned. They couldn't believe that a regular worker had disciplined the factory director's son. Seeing he was beaten, the rich kid immediately called for HR to fire the man. But to his surprise, the HR manager was the man's wife. She just didn't know yet that her husband was the CEO, so she apologized to the rich kid on her husband's behalf. But the rich kid, feeling humiliated, refused to accept the apology. He directly ordered her to fire the man. Thinking how hard it had been for her husband to get a job, the woman had no choice but to beg the rich kid not to fire him. To her surprise, the rich kid agreed this time, but on one condition: she had to kiss him in public. Turns out the rich kid had admired her for a long time. Even though she was married, he never gave up pursuing her. He often gave gifts to her mother and urged her to get her daughter to divorce the man. That way, he could fulfill his wish to marry the woman. But what the woman didn't know was that her husband was a CEO worth tens of billions. He had come home this time to inspect the factory. The man had never revealed his true identity. Every time he came back, his mother-in-law would look down on him. Even the other relatives in the family looked down on him. They thought he was just a poor guy. Every time they saw him, they mocked him for fun. They ridiculed him for being good at nothing and hinted that he wasn't good enough for the woman. The man was furious after hearing this. He tried several times to reveal his true identity, but was interrupted each time. Even the $1,000,000 gift he had prepared was deliberately broken by his wife's brother. He even shouted that he shouldn't bring junk into their home, until the woman's father appeared and accidentally realized the broken wine was actually top tier. Only then did he realize the man was no ordinary person. He asked where he had gotten. The man said he had bought it himself, but the wife didn't believe him. She thought her husband clearly didn't have a cent. How could he afford such expensive wine? So she told him to be honest. The man had no choice but to explain that someone had gifted it to him. As soon as he said that, the whole family mocked him again. But even so, his wife didn't look down on him one bit. She even asked around to help him find a job. She thought it'd be nice if they worked at the same factory so they could look after each other. But she didn't expect that the rich kid wouldn't let things go. He kept making trouble for her husband. He even made such an unreasonable demand. The woman flatly refused him. She also told her husband to leave immediately. She said she would quit too. She'd hand in her resignation soon. Hearing this, the rich kid panicked. No matter how he tried to persuade her to stay, her mind was made up. She took her husband and prepared to leave. But unexpectedly, the rich kid blocked their way. He said this wasn't over. The man had to pay for what he just did. He called for security to take the man away. At this critical moment, the secretary arrived at the scene. Seeing her, the rich kid rushed to complain first. He told her everything that had happened. But when the secretary saw the man, she panicked and knelt down immediately.